Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you're all doing well. Couple things for today. So, you should have a copy of the vocabulary notes sheet. We are going to define some vocabulary words for a story that we're going to read next week. You will also need your Grow 7 and 8 notes packet because we're going to go over Grow 8 Day 2 today. And we are also going to journal today. If at any time during the video you need to pause the video just to kind of catch up, please feel free to do so. Coming up later this week on Thursday, your Grow 7 and 8 homework will be due. That is whether you chose the paper copy or chose to do the IXL, which is BB.5 and HH.6. You will also take your Grow 7 and 8 quiz on Thursday, so please make sure you're studying for that. On Friday, that is technically the last day of the quarter, so there will be no school this Friday. So, a little something for you to look forward to. All right, let's go ahead and go over the grow first. All right, so the grow for today, we are going to focus on week 8, day 2. So, there are a couple of rules for this day. For this grammar rule. So, two syllable adjectives that end in Y, OW, or LE will use suffixes for comparative and superlative. So, remember that we talked about one syllable adjectives. Last week we said adjectives were describing words, and we talked about how we added ER to make a comparative, meaning you're comparing one thing to one other thing, and superlative would be comparing something to many other things. So, for example, the word funny is two syllables, funny. It ends in Y, so we're going to change that Y to an I and then add ER to make it comparative. So that would be funnier, and then that Y changes to an I for superlative, and we add EST, so it would become funniest. Some two syllable words will use more or most for comparative and superlative instead of adding the ER or EST. For example, the word careful, also two syllables, careful. We don't say carefuler, we would say, please be more careful, or you are the most careful. And then three syllable adjectives like beautiful, beautiful, use more or most for comparative and superlative. So again, we don't say beautifuler, we would say more beautiful or they're the most beautiful. Okay, so just a couple things to try to remember. Again, I think most of the time these things kind of come naturally or you know these things already. This is just a good review to kind of explain why. All right, so if you look at your notes sheet, you're going to make sure you please write this down. Uh, we have the word scary. So, in order to make scary comparative, we are going to change the Y to an I, and we're going to make the word scarier. So, add the ER to that. Okay, so SCARIER. So, the Y changes to an I, and we add ER. We are going to do the same thing for superlative, except superlative means that it's the most of something, so we are going to add EST. So it's going to become SCARIEST, scariest. That movie was scary. This movie was scarier, but the third one was the scariest. All right. For the word narrow, again, we are just going to add an ER for this one. So it's going to be narrower. Comparative. This road is very narrow. This road is narrower. And in superlative, this is the narrowest road I have ever driven on. Okay. And then we have delicious. Delicious is a three syllable word, delicious. So we are going to have to add the word more to make it comparative. So it's going to become more delicious. And in the superlative form, it's going to be the most delicious. Okay, so we wouldn't say deliciouser or deliciousest. Those are not words. So we're going to add more and most because it's a three syllable word. Okay, So make sure you get those written down in your notes packet, please. If you don't have space in your chart, again, you can always use the lines off to the right. And once you have completed that, please go ahead and put your Grow Notes somewhere safe where you will not lose them. And take out your Chromebooks, please. We are going to go into Google Classroom and journal. Once you have your Grow Notes put away and you have your Chromebooks out, please go into Google Classroom, and I usually suggest that you click the classwork button. I know that my students, I told you guys that your journals were due on Friday, but we're going to add one more journal. So once you get into Google Classroom, if you would just click on this topic button here that says Quarter 1 Journals, that's going to take you right to it. So I'm going to click Quarter 1 Journals, and make sure you scroll all the way to the bottom and open your Quarter 1 journal document. Okay, so this is where you're going to type your responses. If you're one of the 3 who turned in, or one of the students who's turned in your journal, please just make sure you hit unsubmit so you can actually edit your journal. And don't submit yet because we're going to do something with them on Thursday. So open your Quarter 1 journal document. And obviously you will have more journals filled in once this loads. You are going to go to the next blank slide, which should be the slide for journal number 7. Please write today's date, which is October 18th, so 10/18. And your topic today is going to be justifiable. So here's your prompt. The prompt says, again, make sure you have your date and your topic. Is there ever a justifiable reason to kill someone? Please explain your reasoning and give examples. So justifiable means is that there's a good reason, a reason that you could argue for this is why you did it, and it would make sense to someone else. So you're either going to say, yes, there's a justifiable reason to kill someone, and then explain, maybe give some examples, or no, there isn't, and explain, give some examples. I'm going to put a timer on the board for 5 minutes. Your goal is to write for the full 5 minutes, and make sure you're writing in your journal document, and then try to write at least 5 to 7 sentences. I know this sounds like a crazy topic, but this is going to go with the story that we're going to read next week. So we'll go ahead and start the timer for 5 minutes. Again, if you need to pause this video to get everyone caught up, please feel free to do so. But we'll start, and then as soon as you're finished with your journal toward the end, make sure you close your Chromebook. Okay, guys, you're down to about 1 minute left, so please make sure you start putting an ending on your writing. If you finished your writing, please go back and reread to make sure it makes sense. Down to about 30 seconds. Once you're finished, please go ahead and put your Chromebook away. You will not use it again today. All right. All right, so go ahead and put your Chromebooks away, please, if you haven't already. Again, you're not going to use them again today. Uh, and then you're going to take out your paper that should look like this one. So this is your vocabulary sheet. As usual, the definition has already been given for you, so you are not writing the definition. We have also included the part of speech on this page just to tell you what type of word it is. All you need to do is fill in the vocabulary term and then some sort of an example. There will be examples on each slide, so you are welcome to write those down. Again, if they are long, you can certainly shorten them. So just the vocabulary term and some sort of example, please. Okay. So this vocabulary goes with the story we're going to read next week by Edgar Allan Poe called The Telltale Heart. Your first word on your sheet is cease. Cease is a verb, which means to stop. So on your sheet in the vocabulary term box, please go ahead and just write the word cease, C-E-A-S-E. There are two associations or examples here. You only really need to write one. The first one says, a police officer might ask you to cease from doing something. And the second example says, when Mr. Javersack begins speaking in an assembly, students cease speaking. Cease, to stop. Okay. Right. If you need more time, go ahead and hit pause. I'm going to go to the next word. The next word is sagacity. S-A-G-A-C-I-T-Y. Sagacity. It's a noun. Sagacity means having high intelligence and sound judgment or wisdom. So someone who is very smart, someone who makes good choices, has sagacity. Okay, so write sagacity. And then your example here says someone who has had lots of life experiences, like maybe your grandparents, might have sagacity. There's another example here that says Yoda has sagacity. So Yoda is known to be very wise, very intelligent. Okay, go ahead and pause if you need to. Going to go to the next word. The next word is stifled. S-T-I-F-L-E-D. Stifled. Stifled is a verb that means held back or smothered. So the example here says, since I have respiratory issues, I often find the odor of cigarette smoke to be quite stifling. Sometimes you might stifle a giggle, try to hold back a giggle if you're in trouble and you think it's funny, or for other reasons if you're trying to be quiet. Okay, go ahead and pause if you need to. The next word is scantling. S-C-A-N-T-L-I-N-G. Scantling. Scantling is a noun, and it just means a small beam or timber. So the example says, floorboards in an old house are considered scantlings. If you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, you'll see an aisle dedicated or several aisles dedicated to scantlings. All right, go ahead and pause if you need to. The next word is death watches. So death watches is a noun and it's spelled Deathwatches. Death watches. Two words together. Death watches are wood boring beetles whose heads make tapping sounds. So wood boring means that they bore or drill holes into wood. They are superstitiously regarded as an omen of death. So the example here says, if you hear a death watch, it means someone will die. So I'll play a sound for you here. You can hear what one sounds like. Okay, so here's another picture of a death watch. And here, oh, somewhere is the sound. Okay, so if you were to hear that sound, that is superstitiously means that someone would die. All right, go ahead and pause if you need to. The next word is derision. Derision is a noun and it's spelled D-E-R-I-S-I-O-N. Derision is a scorn or a ridicule. So that just means basically that, someone is making fun of something or being mean to something to you, to something that you've done. So, for example, Edgar Allan Poe's story was met with derision from his roommates over the main character's name, Gaffy. You'll hear more about that later this week. Right, go ahead and pause if you need to, please. The next word is hearken. Hearken is spelled Hearken, and it's a verb. Hearken means to listen, and you can see the word here within hearken. So this is just a very old-timey word. You can see the word here within hearken, like I just said. Um, so remember we said that Edgar Allan Poe lived in the 1800s, so this would have been why this word was used, because it's very old-timey. Um, so it just means to listen. Okay, go ahead and pause if you need to, please. The next word is vex. Vex means to bother, trouble, or annoy. It's a verb, and it's simple, VEX. So the example here says the mosquitoes vexed the children playing in the park. If you are someone who gets eaten by mosquitoes, often you will understand how obnoxious this is. All right, go ahead and pause if you need to. The next word is acute. Acute is spelled ACUTE. It's all one word. It's an adjective, and it just means sensitive or sharp. So there's two examples here. You can only write one if you want to. The first one says dogs have an acute sense of smell and owls have an acute sense of sight. So in this case, it doesn't mean like, oh, look, it's so cute. It means sensitive or sharp. So dogs have a sharp sense of smell. They can smell much better than humans can. Owls have a very sharp sense of sight, which is why they can spot something as small as a mouse running through a field from way high up. So acute. You can think math related, an acute angle. It's kind of a sharp angle. Okay, go ahead and pause if you need to. The next word is dissimulation. Dissimulation is spelled Dissimulation. Dissimulation. It's a noun, and it means the act of hiding or pretending. So, again, two examples. You only really need to write one. The first example says the crooked car dealer often tricked car buyers by using dissimulation to hide flaws in vehicles. So, like maybe they're just putting a quick band aid on a big mistake or a big flaw in a vehicle. And then the second example, as a priest, Father Kelly lives to honor the truth and never practices dissimulation. Go ahead and pause if you need to. The next word is gesticulations. Gesticulations is spelled Gesticulations. Gesticulations. It's a noun, and it means energetic hand or arm movements. And the example here, sign language uses gesticulations. So sign language, you're speaking with your hands. Um, some of us use gesticulations when we talk regularly. I know I'm known to throw my hands around in a conversation. So gesticulations, hand gestures. All right, guys. So that is everything for the vocabulary on the front. If you need to go back to any of the words, please feel free to do so. If you still need this slide, go ahead and pause. If you're all caught up and ready to go on, then I will ask you to flip your paper over, please. And on the back, you're going to see two assignments. This one you should be pretty familiar with. So the directions here say circle the word in each group that is most nearly opposite in meaning of the bold-faced word. So again, we're looking for antonyms. Antonyms mean words that mean the opposite. So you will have in each row, this is a column, this is a row. In each row, you will have 3 synonyms and 1 antonym. So acute, keen, intense, insensitive, or insightful. If you're not sure what any of these words mean, please feel free to ask or look them up because some of them I know might be words that you're not quite as familiar with. Or you can take your best guess and just kind of use process of elimination. We will review this probably sometime next week. So go ahead and take some time to work on that. Once you're finished with the top portion, please make sure you're listening to this because I think this one is one that you're maybe less familiar with. The bottom half here says connect to activity. So connect to is a way to show how any two words could be connected. For example, if our vocabulary words were enthusiastic and pioneer, then the connect to might look like this. Enthusiastic and pioneer are connected because pioneers are usually enthusiastic about discovering new lands and new opportunities. So, using your vocabulary words for the telltale heart, create at least 3 connect to sentences. So, you're going to just make connections between different words from your vocabulary. So, use the definitions on the other side and just tell how they're connected. It can be anything, any connection that you can make between them. Okay, so doesn't have to be something super challenging or tough. Just think of how you could relate two of the terms. Okay. Once you're finished with this assignment, please keep it in your binder somewhere safe where you will not lose it because, again, we will review this later next week. Uh, and once you're finished with this assignment and you've put it away somewhere safe, then go ahead and keep working on the web quest from last Monday if you still have that and haven't finished, or you can work on your grow homework that's due on Thursday, or find something else to work on. Okay. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. But yeah, thank you guys so much. We'll see you soon.